Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Danny Boy doing daring, death-defying acts to dream about dad duties. Uncle Gary gets all jacked up on Jack in the Box while jacking around with a dude named Jacked episode of the Days Grimm, brought to you by Purple Moose Power Washing, LLC. Now, if you've got disgusting siding on the side of your house, it's not anywhere else but
that
on the side of your house.
Mold.
Dude, yeah, if you've got that
jumping mold.
You got that wicked west side fucking nasty stuff, dude, get it. Call my guy up, dude. Look this dude up. He's the newest power washing company in town. He does fences. He does houses. He's going to give you the best price. Everyone else is overcharging. This dude is cutting the legs out from everyone. Tom, how are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. And you?
Oh, I should have said my name is Brian Michael Dave. We didn't even do that.
My name is Thomas Grimm.
What's up, Thomas?
Nothing much. We got Drew over here.
Yeah,
Gladys
Drew.
in the
What's
stew.
up, sir? How are you guys?
I'm doing all right.
Dude, I'm sweatier than two bald women rubbing their heads together.
Not only does Bonnie have like an old woman's name, you know, like when we got the dog and they were like, I want to name it Bonnie. I'm like, is she like a 60-year-old smoker? Like this dog came with like, you know, an oxygen tank or some shit.
Yeah,
but
this dog came
now
with COPD.
now she's in diapers. You know what I mean? I'm like, doggy depends for this bitch right now.
No kidding, dude.
Yeah.
That's wild. So what has she got, some leaking going on?
Yeah, she's in heat.
Oh, dude,
she's
that's
on her
the
dog period.
Worst. That is the worst.
And for the first 3 days, she would only let me change her diapers, and like I'm the last guy to deal with the sight of blood.
I knew a dude in the Army who had a German Shepherd female who was not fixed, and he would just put his wife's panties on her, and then they would like line the crotch with like, and they would somehow, I forget how they did it, but it was like women's underwear on a dog, and I was like, this is the most fucked up shit I've ever seen. Like lacy panties with like tissue paper.
Oh my god.
It's like the wildest shit, dude. So anyways, speaking of, let's chuck that.
Joining us this week in the Days Grimm studio is Dan Dennison. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Dan, what's up, man? Do you got any dogs in heat?
Thankfully, I do not.
Do you have dogs? Are you a dog guy?
I don't.
You're not a dog guy?
Well, we don't have any.
Oh, okay. Sick.
We have a cat.
They're a huge pain in the ass. Cats are great for one thing and one thing. I'm not a cat guy, but I hate cats. But they're good for one thing and one thing only. They're very self-sufficient. You know what I mean? They're just very on their own terms kind of animals. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. My daughter's cat named Boba.
Boba?
Boba the cat.
Boba, as in Boba Fett, Star Wars.
I believe Boba
No?
Tea.
Oh, shit. Boba tea?
Yeah, Boba Tea. Isn't there a Boba Tea, I believe?
Yeah,
dude,
it's trash.
It's trash. What? Oh, like the drink.
With
Yeah.
the bubbles in it?
With the little slugs in it, yeah.
Oh, dude, my my sister-in-law, Kristen's sister, drinks that stuff, and every time I look at it, I'm just like, what is floating? It's just this weird concoction of like things floating around in liquids. It makes me very nervous. I don't like strange objects floating around in my beverage.
Yeah.
What is it anyway? So you might know what it is.
No idea.
I know there's like a term for it. What?
I just wonder because like, do you like bite them and then like it's some kind of like
Yeah, they
You
like
keep popping
explode
with
in
the
your
roof
mouth.
of your mouth or something.
I don't think I'm that bougie.
Yeah, it seems like a rich Cali person kind of thing. Whatever you call it, it's in its most basic form. The drink consists of black tea, milk, ice, and chewy tapioca.
Oh,
All shaken together like martini and served with that famously fat straw to accommodate the marbles of tapioca. God, it's so fucking put it away, Drew.
it's so nasty you have to have a
Put it
fat
away,
straw
Drew.
to drink it
That's
through.
like-
Lovely.
The like sucking up the little
Don't say
balls.
that. Don't say that, dude.
You don't like
Don't
sucking up
say-
balls?
It's Brian's favorite pastime.
That's one thing, but I don't like tea either, so it's just...
Dude, we're coming off of an episode where we just talked about, like, who was it? Leonardo DiCaprio and how hot of a little boy he was.
yeah.
Or, what'd you say? He's a hot
He's
little
a-
boy?
Dude,
I
Brian
was like,
said...
he's a sexy little man.
Yeah, and then Brian said something about David Beckham 4 times in a row.
Dude.
4 times in a row. Each sentence that came out of Brian's mouth next was, that's a handsome man.
Do you know who David Beckham is?
I do.
Oh, I didn't know. So I knew he was a famous football player, soccer player, but I did not know, like, physically what he looked like. In my head, he was like a 6'7", like, dark, rich black man. In my mind. in my mind. That's just what I pictured David Beckham as.
Yeah,
and
he's
then
a tad different.
wildly different. I mean, wildly different.
He's a pretty smoky man, but he's like a white dude with tattoos.
Yeah, dude, he is handsome. Jesus. I'm not afraid to say when a man's handsome, and that dude, he's a good-looking dude.
Well, I'm sure he drinks boba tea.
Clearly.
I'll get you some sent here.
Please don't. I'll get one of those curdles in my mouth and just throw up.
So, Dan, you want to give our audience a rough elevator pitch of like who you are and what you do?
Yeah, born and raised here in Evansville, Indiana, commercial banking. I've worked in that a few years. A lot of my background was in investments, but that, of course, changed over time due to certain events. But I've been in banking here about 4 years now here in town. Long time Evansville resident. I've lived in South Dakota a little bit, Kentucky, but born and raised, well, not born, but raised on the west side of town up by Rice High School.
Shout out.
West Sider.
Side?
Yeah.
West Side love. Dude, there's nothing better than, is there something better than the West Side and I'm just not familiar with it?
I don't think so. We haven't found it,
Right.
at least.
Scientists are looking.
They're doing a deep research.
Well, yeah, scientists don't
That's
even
what
go
the
east of
submersible was
Fulton.
doing.
Yeah, they don't go east of Fulton.
Dude, I'll go east of 41 and immediately I'm just pissed. If I have to go past Midtown, I'm irritated. I'm already irritated. As soon as I get to Weinbach, I'm ready to just choke slam the next person that tries to talk to me.
Yeah.
It's irritating. People are assholes. They drive like assholes. It's crowded, congested. There's cars everywhere. There's homeless people like with shopping carts everywhere. It's just insane. And then
Speaking of homeless people with shopping carts, you want to hit them with that death of the week?
Drew, let's spin it up, my man.
The death of the week.
This week's Death of the Week. Drew, let's get it going. Brought to you by thedaysgrimm.com. Get on there and get you some Gucci merch. Dip the tip in and just, do what feels right. We're going to go with scroll up just a little bit. Let's read the title up the other way. There we go. Let's read the title. Bride killed, husband injured in golf cart crash after wedding reception, authorities say. Onward. So, Folly Beach, South Carolina. There it is. Shout out. Call back to earlier. A newlywed bride was killed and her husband was injured after an alleged drunk driver hit the golf cart they were riding in Friday night, according to Charleston County Sheriff's Office. Witnesses said the force of impact threw the golf cart more than 100 yards and made it roll several times. Now, age 34, died at the scene from injuries sustained during the crash, according to Charleston County Coroner Bobby Joe O'Neill. Sick name, dude. Her new husband's mother said in a GoFundMe post, which there's a link to this. We may put that in the description. When was this? Yeah, this is 2023. That he is in a serious condition with broken bones and a brain injury. And here's a picture of the beautiful bride. Of course, she's super beautiful. Like, God, it just makes me more mad. Two other people from the wedding party were also injured. The couple was leaving the wedding reception when the crash happened and had only been married a few hours. Jamie Lee Komorowski, age 25, is facing charges of DUI causing serious bodily injury / death and reckless homicide, which could also mean that she'll be put to death via rattlesnake venom. So honestly, guys, I don't.
Well, no, there's that. There's like a
there's
line
more?
or two more, right?
Oh, hold on. Let's scroll on down. Oh, hold on. Investigators. Oh, yeah. I'm glad you mentioned this. So you may be wondering, how hard do you have to hit a golf cart to kill somebody? Investigators believe she was doing 65 miles an hour in a 25 mile per hour zone at the time of the crash. The golf cart was probably roughly going about 5 miles an hour. I don't understand. You're not even trying to hide your intoxication at that point. You're just like, what's the speed? What's the speed of it? I don't know. Just roasting
And
tires,
It's
dude.
2023, so all your GPSs now tell you the speed limit.
It says that the impact threw the golf cart more than 100 yards
That's
and
a
made
football
it roll.
field.
That's
Yeah.
a fucking football field.
Bro, there's not a quarterback in the NFL that can throw a ball that far. Let
This
that
bitch
sink
threw
in.
a golf cart that far.
Yeah, this drunk, you know, I got some choice words. This drunk bitch, she murdered a lady. I feel like I can safely call her a bitch. Like, safely. She threw a golf cart 100 yards and murdered a lady, a pretty lady at that.
And
It's so
on her
annoying.
wedding night.
On her wedding night.
And you notice it's a golf cart, and they give you everything in yards.
Yeah.
And 100 yards.
Well, I mean,
Several times. Now, keep in mind.
that's a golfing thing, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yardage.
Yeah. So, I have a golf cart, and I almost rolled it.
Oh, it's
a
easy to
couple
do.
times. Yeah. So, trust me, you can definitely hurt some people in a golf cart. So
Yeah.
when you don't know where those hills or the dips are,
There's no
I
doors.
almost flipped it with a buddy in it, and then gave my insurance agent a call. Got full coverage now, liability.
I bet, dude. That's this week's Death of the Week, brought to you by thedaysgrimm.com. Get in there. Again, just dip the tip in. You know, we got some decent merch. You know, we were actually just talking to Dan about this. He was like, I want to get a t-shirt and help you guys rep. And so we were kind of going through this. But yeah, we got some good stuff on there, but we are currently going through a revamp on the website. Yeah. So stand by for that in the next couple months. It is going to change. And along with that will also come some new merch. So keep your eyes open on thedaysgrimm.com.
So, Dan, you grew up on the west side. Which high school did you go to?
Yeah, went to Wrights High School.
Panther.
Lived right down the street in the high school.
What, did you play sports in high school?
Yeah, I did. Played sports most of my life.
What sports were you go
Mainly football and baseball through high school. As I was younger, before I started playing football, I played soccer.
What year in high school did the coaches say you have to pick one or the other?
Actually, I chose when it was 7th grade year, I believe, I switched from soccer to football. And there's no turnaround after that.
That's what they do.
Definitely.
Them football scouts be looking at the soccer players out there, and they're like, we need a kicker.
I just didn't want to play soccer anymore. It's like football's my thing. That's what I need to do.
I looked up a weird stat about soccer just because I'm not very well versed. I only started playing soccer whenever I went to college. I was on the intramural teams and stuff, and I didn't even know the rules and stuff. So like I just went into intramural soccer like not knowing what I was getting into. But I'm a good runner, so but I got into it and I really, really enjoyed it. I like running, so it was my sport. But I looked up a weird stat, and Drew could correct me if I'm wrong, but it's something like in a professional football game, the average, like a forward, the average soccer player will run. It's like a ridiculous amount of miles. I want to say 10 miles. In a football game?
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
10 miles. And you see how fast some of these guys are, like Beckham, you know, because now I know what
That's how he
looks
stays
like.
in shape.
That's not, yeah. But what does the average soccer player run? 11 kilometers, 7 miles is during an average game. That's long.
Well, another reason why I switched.
Yeah, average football game, like American football. What do you run?
Yeah, you
Maybe
hit a
couple
few
miles?
people, a few downs, you go rest a little bit, you go back.
What position do you play?
Inside linebacker, nose tackle. I was the odd duck, whereas the small guy that played the big people positions. I didn't want to be out there with the little guys. Mix it up, get down there. So it's me, 150 pounds, and some 250-pound center. But I loved it. At the end of the season, looked like someone took a jackhammer to my helmet, and I think that's probably how I ended up with Meniere's, which is the inner ear condition. But I enjoyed it. I liked it.
After high school, what college did you go to?
Well, after high school, which I didn't do very well in, didn't really apply myself. So it took me a little longer than the average student.
Nice.
So went to USI. I did really well. Transferred to IU Bloomington. After Bloomington, while I was in Bloomington, I spent a semester of study at the American University in Washington, D.C., studied government and worked in Congress.
What is that? I don't even know what that. The American what?
The American University.
What the hell is that? Donald Trump's college?
No.
Is that like? Didn't he make a college and it was something like
I think
America?
He made some crazy.
It was like
school.
America something.
I think everybody got ripped off or something. I don't know what happened with that, but
it's not that though.
No, the American University has a main campus in D.C. They have actually campuses throughout the world. I think they have something in Middle East, a couple places there. They used to have one in Beirut, I think.
Really?
But there were a few places around. But the American University was there in Washington, D.C. It's been there for quite some time.
Was that a way different experience?
Oh, absolutely. we went, when I went, it was a program where, they selected a few folks from around the country in different schools. So the people that went were from all different universities from all over the country. So it was a really good experience to see folks. A lot of them were from those, small private schools, with wealthy families.
Whoa, buddy, you're talking about my people, okay?
Yeah.
I'm a U of E grad.
They were not from the West Side. But you had a lot of those folks from those small schools that, wealthy parents, and they went to, of course, American University was a private school, so it was a little costly, but I was thankfully got a little help with a dean's scholarship.
I want to get a little nosy real quick, because the only private school I've ever been to was U of E. Shout out, graduated from there in the winter of 2017, a semester early, not a big deal. No, but also whenever I transferred to U of E, I saw their semester tuition, and I'm a veteran, so a lot of mine through the Yellow Ribbon Act or Yellow Ribbon whatever, something or another. A lot of my tuition was covered, up to $20,000,
which is good.
Every year I get $20,000, but the one semester at U of E was something like $18,000 or something. It was stupid for in-state tuition. So how does that compare to the American university?
It was so long ago. This was 94, of course.
So college was considerably cheaper back then.
But it was still expensive. I think it was still around $12,000 even back then. In 94, it was quite expensive compared to a public school. But I got a little help from the scholarship side.
Yeah, that's back when you could go a semester at USI for a couple grand.
Oh, yeah. It was a couple $1,000.
Yeah.
So what was it like coming back to Indiana after a semester in D.C.?
It was nice to get back home. I think, of course, the newness wears off, and you're there. And, we studied half the time. We had people that went there and studied different things. Some people studied international business. Some people studied American politics. And you would go to class a couple of days, and our professors typically knew a lot of the people in D.C., so we met some of the real movers and shakers in town, the lobbyists and the representatives and the senators and the people in the cabinet for the White House. So it was a great experience. Then the remaining days, we worked in Congress, so you went and chose who you worked with and what you did. And I worked for an Indiana representative back then, and he chaired, or at the time was the ranking member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, so got a lot of work in there. Got to meet a lot of great folks from the CIA and all that. It's very interesting.
Sick.
Yeah, so it was really, really a great experience, but it was good to get back home.
Were you leaning politics?
Yeah.
So what was your major?
It was government. And
did he say that and I missed it?
No, he just said that he went to study government there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but my undergrad was government, but then I ended up in finance. Isn't that funny?
So
it's you get those liberal arts degrees and go, what am I going to do with this?
I mean, finances, government, they go hand in hand.
I think I would have done well in that field. The problem is if you don't actually want to be the representative, then your job can change a lot, if you're a staffer, depending upon turnover or what you're doing. But actually, later on, I went back and got a master's in education with government as the focus and curriculum and instruction.
So you could teach a history.
So
or
I can
government
teach
class.
college government, if I wanted to.
College government?
Yeah, if you have a master's degree.
So when we
snap.
form our cult, he can maybe help us lay down some legislation.
Where do you sit at on Colts? How do you feel about that? It's a loose.
That's a good question. I think it depends on what you define as
it's a
cult.
loose definition.
It's very loose. If you're kind of keeping it to yourself, kind of cult, then okay, go for it. But if it's these folks that be sure to abandon your entire family.
No, they can come.
And I don't like those folks.
But see, the core of our cult is gonna be I think that I am Jesus Christ reincarnate, and he thinks that he is Muhammad reincarnate, and we're gonna bring Christians and Muslims together, and it's gonna be really, really nice. I don't know how.
I'm just trying to get a group of people to buy a county.
No Kool-Aid, strict no Kool-Aid rule.
Yeah, I would definitely stick away from the whole, or stay away from the whole Jim Jones deal.
Jonestown.
Yeah, is that his name, Jim Jones? I can't remember. Jonestown.
Jonestown was the name of it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jonestown.
No, that was really, really dark, though.
And avoid places with Waco in the name.
Yeah, God.
Yeah.
They put out a really good
Waco documentary.
Docuseries on, I think it was several episodes on Netflix. I really enjoyed it. Did you see that, Waco on Netflix?
I did.
Very, very well put together with, what was his name? I can't remember the guy's name.
Don't know.
Anyways,
What did you do after you graduate college?
Actually, I went to work at the casino for a little bit. Didn't find work I wanted to, but
Back when it was
eventually
still on the water?
Yeah, it was on the water. It was Astar back then when it first started, and then started in finance. So financial advisory was at American Express, and did that for several years. And that's where I started. Most of my career was in investments. Started there, and I really enjoyed it. And it just went. So I went from the social sciences side all the way over to the finance side. But I found it interesting at the time. I had been involved in an investment club, and just it became interesting. Looking at investments and companies and everything that went into it, because it's a very dynamic type field.
Well, yeah, and going from the casino to investments, it's kind of the same, you know what I mean?
So if you were speaking to a person that is, let's just say,
God bless you.
Thank you. Let's just say their finances, they're not good with money, okay? Now, his name may or may not be Thomas Grimm. So if you're speaking to said individual about investments, what are some and for the listener mostly, but also for this hypothetical person named Thomas Grimm that none of us know, who's really bad with
only
money.
does blue chip stocks that pay dividend yields like S&P 500 and Ford and AT&T.
So what are some good ground level investment, or maybe just financial / investment pieces of advice you would give to said person?
Well, as with anything complex, it depends. One I would say is probably don't spend too much of your disposable income on a cult building.
That's a problem immediately.
Yeah, because if you don't really have the funds, you may want to avoid that if at all possible.
That's a problem immediately.
But you are looking to bring people together, so I'm not going to complain too much about that.
And we're going to take their money,
You
too.
always want to look at, first of all, if your cash reserve's in place. Yeah, of course, you're going to get their money, so what?
Right.
Yeah,
It
so it's
really
fine.
depends on what your purpose is. If you have a mission statement in that cult to take all your money.
I don't know. We haven't gotten that far yet. We're working on it, though. Question on investments, so real question, all jokes aside. What do you think about this e-currency stuff? What are your... Because
are you talking about the ES, but it's going to have a social credit score behind it? Are you talking about that?
No. I'm asking about Bitcoin,
You're talking
Dogecoin,
about crypto.
Crypto coin, e-coins.
Crypto is very interesting. However,
What's your thought?
my overall concern with crypto is the potential impacts of regulation going forward.
There is none.
Well, there certainly can be. So if the federal government wants to come in and regulate, they can regulate.
How can they regulate something that's on international? It's everywhere.
Because if it's a currency accepted, well, maybe if you're only using it internationally, they can always shut down transactions in any way, just like they would do a foreign entity that would be on their watch list or whatever, as far as how the money's transferred. Now, if I don't know enough about it to understand how it would move from company to company or individual to individual, however, anything the federal government can get its hands on, it can be ubiquitous, so it covers about everything.
It baffles me. We had a guy on the show, Tony Tripp, a couple of times. The second time he came on, he's really big into the crypto stuff, and we kind of... Drew, were you here for that?
No.
Second Tripp episode? So he covered a lot of this digital currency and I made this is what it's worth. What do you call those?
NFTs.
Non-fungible token.
Yeah, so NFTs, which is essentially a coin in itself, kind of same concept. But he goes real into depth on that stuff, and he lost me about halfway through the conversation, so I don't understand it. But to me, it just sounds like, hey, my name's Brian, and I made this coin, and there's 9,000 of them out there, and I say that one coin is worth $40,000, and you can buy them in increments of whatever. Here's what it is. I think that's my best conceptual...
But you have to do several runs before you can do a $40,000
I don't understand
run.
it.
It's
Still.
complex, and to be honest, I don't understand it. I was out of the investment game before crypto really came in and became popular. But I would be hesitant with anything like that, especially if it's something new. Also, if you're looking at investing in something like this, definitely you're going to want to keep a small percentage in that.
Right.
It fluctuates greatly, and what is it worth? I mean, how do you establish value? Or
What's a small percentage too? Subjectively, what you're thinking.
Well, that depends. Are you worth $10,000 or $10 million? So I would always say 10% or something like that is. We used to say, for example, if you had international or emerging market type company stocks, maybe be 5% or 10 at the most. You wouldn't want to put too much in there because of the risk involved.
But it's still, so you say, or you just said, it depends on what you're worth, 10,000 or 10 million. But really, isn't it the same? Like 1% is still a 1% loss, like per ratio.
No, because if I have $1,000, it really depends. Like, I guess 1%, maybe it could be the same as far as overall, but 1% of a million is a hell of a lot more than 1% of 1,000.
But still same loss and still same gain
on a percentage standpoint.
I don't know the best way to talk about investments, but
I don't know.
I don't know shit about investments or NFTs or crypto. This whole time I've been thinking about when NFTs were really big, people would like spend $20,000 on like a picture of a monkey or something, and then they tweet it and try to like flex, oh, I spent this much money on an NFT, and then people would just screenshot it and reply with that and be like, I screenshotted your post for free. So they would get so mad. And like I don't understand why you would ever do that.
So what you missed out on the Drew on the trip episode, the second time he came through, he talked a little bit about that. Like I had asked that same question, what happens when I screenshot this and then I just share it because some guy showed it to me via text or whatever. There's like a stamp.
There's a serial number behind it. So like, you have the picture, but you can't resell it for any value or anything.
Yeah, I own the serial number. It's like a non-tangible, tangible item.
I mean, I get that, but in my brain, who the hell is buying that? Like, you're trying to resell it? Who is paying what you paid for
Drew,
that?
I'm glad you asked. QAnon's buying them.
But with anything, though,
no, I'm joking.
If you're investing in something, obviously you better know everything about it.
Right. Yeah.
And obviously, 100%. I don't know anything about crypto, much of anything about crypto.
So, were you in investment when you met the mother of your children?
Yes, I was.
So, what was it like when you first got the news that you had a kiddo on the way?
It was a surprise. We weren't, not trying to have a kid, as long as if it happens, it happens. And then she became pregnant with Paige. We lived in Kentucky at the time. Actually,
Shout out.
I lived in Cadiz, Kentucky. They're down there by Lake Barkley in Trigg County.
Cadiz?
Everything Cadiz. Some people call it KDs, but it's Cadiz, Kentucky. It's in Trigg County, down by Lake Barkley.
Okay.
And then Paige, my daughter Paige, was born in Murray, Kentucky.
Nice.
We lived down there for about 7 or 8 years when I worked at a regional bank there.
Okay.
And as a financial advisor, worked in Hopkinsville and Murray, and then my son Grant was born a couple years later in Hopkinsville. So both
What's
my
the
kids
age
were
gap?
born 2 years.
Okay.
Nice, dude. Really, really sad that you spent as much time in Kentucky that you did. So
Yeah, it's
welcome
different.
back. Welcome back to the motherland.
And when I was there, the county I lived in was a dry county. And so Trigg County was dry,
Gross.
but the county next door named Christian County was not.
Nice.
So go figure, right? But as soon as I left, it became a wet county.
That's how it goes, man. I always find that it's funny that there's a bunch of towns that have like Christ in the name, like Christville or Christtown or Christ-Smithville or whatever. There's a bunch of these towns all across America that have like Christ in the name, and you're like, man, these guys are going to be super uptight and just like they're going to see it.
Then you find out they're all Catholic.
Yeah. Well, then you find out
It's not going to be dry.
Well, then you find out you can just like order a online in that same county, and she'll show up at your door at like 9 a.m. sharp. It's like it's just counterintuitive. Like they're not like as bad as you think they're going to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're weird towns, but there's a bunch of them. Yeah.
I think our assumptions a lot of times lead us the wrong way.
Yeah, 100%. You really just got to dip your toes in and really just kind of experience it yourself. So, what was your favorite part about living down in Kentucky with these two little rugrats? You know?
Oh, goodness. I would say, as far as outdoors stuff, I did a lot of fishing and hunting when I was down there. Spent a lot of time. Deer hunting was something I really enjoyed. It's kind of my solace.
Are you any good at it?
I used to be. I haven't done it in quite a while. But I'd like to get back into it eventually, I think. But everything from, bow season's in. Now you got gun season, you got muzzleloader, you go back to bow. And it was just something that for me that I enjoyed. You get out there in the dark and watch the sun come up slowly, and and just experience nature in a way that you wouldn't be able to otherwise, because you have to sit and be quiet
for hours. Hours.
And then until the squirrels come up and then make noise and drive you crazy. The deer hunters hate squirrels. Yeah, they don't like squirrels. But of course, Lake Barkley was right there.
Shout out to
little
Sam
buddy
Wise.
over there on the wall.
Squirrel does go into season.
Yeah, we're gonna put your brother down the next chance we get. I got a squirrel infestation in my backyard. I don't know what's going on. I got a gang of squirrels and 3 dogs, and they just don't.
You know how to get rid of it?
Shoot it?
No, 5-gallon bucket, fill it with water and like a inch layer of corn, and put a piece of wood going up to it. They think it's a solid bucket of corn, and they stand on it and they drown.
God, that's dark.
You fish it out, skin it, fry it.
Or you can bring Thomas's dog over and just they'll run away for the
Yeah, Bonnie would probably catch it.
Dude, my little German Shepherd Terrier mutt mix dog that I have, Charlie, she caught a damn groundhog the other day.
Nice.
My wife walked out on her with a groundhog by the gut, had it midsection, and just shaking it around like it was a chew toy. And my wife just lost her mind and was like, no, stop. And I was like, you should have just let her kill it, because that son of a bitch is in our yard digging up holes. And I was like, get it, let her kill it. Let her kill it.
So, what makes you move back to Indiana?
Well, actually, I had been recruited by a few of the brokerage firms here to come up and work for them.
That sounds fancy. I don't know what a brokerage firm does.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's investments, but it wasn't a banking. It would be called the wirehouse versus the bank. So you have your regional, your bank brokers. Like if you were at the bank, and they'd have their own brokerage division, or you'd go to somewhere like Merrill Lynch or Smith Barney, or at the time it was Wachovia and became Wells Fargo Advisors. However, when I made that transition, it's 2008. Before I'd already had some difficulties with something called Meniere's disease, which was an inner ear issue that was it's just an awful thing. But I was able to keep it under control for the most part. I had a couple bouts, that bothered me, and had to go get, knocked out when I had vertigo a couple times. But after I transferred and changed jobs, unfortunately, it just kicked in really bad at that point and really took me down.
What's vertigo like?
Vertigo is horrible.
I've heard folks like they can't get their balance, but what's really
the best way I can explain it is if you were as drunk as you've ever been, as sick as you've ever been.
Oh, I don't like that.
Been on go on a tilt-a-whirl and a roller coaster all at the same time.
Basically, probably what I experienced.
It is absolutely awful. I mean, I'd be in the ER sometimes, and it was so bad. Of course, you get sick and you vomit and you can't see, and everything's spinning so fast. And they said, "Hey, we need your insurance card," and I couldn't even get to my wallet. It was like, "Are you going and you can't see, and you're all blurry and everything's spinning and spinning. You're getting sick." And they go, "Okay, what are your symptoms?" "Well, you know what my symptoms are. What are you asking this for?"
I'm dying,
I have vertigo,
lady.
And I go, "I can't see." And then one of them, they rolled me in and said, "Okay, what do you see on the chart?" I'm like, "Are you shitting me?" I'm like, the top one's an E. Let's go. What are you doing? I have vertigo here.
Yeah,
I don't need to read the chart.
So you get a procedure done?
A mini. So at first it started, it was just, a lot of pressure, a lot of pain, and the hearing would go. And then dizziness kicks in, and you're dizzy all the time. So you're off balance all the time. And when vertigo kicks in, it just takes you down. They have to take you to the ER and knock you out. Basically give you a IV Valium and put you out. And it's basically a vestibular suppressant, I think. So at first I had I had a bunch of injections in my ear over and over and over again, many, and then I had one surgery and said, "We'll see if this one works," and that didn't work. Then I had another surgery where it was basically they went in and cut the nerve out that runs to my brain as a vestibular nerve, and for whatever reason I was still having vestibular response, so they went in and just kind of drilled out the inside.
What the hell is that? A vestibular response?
Basically, you're showing your vestibular system is your balance system. So they could do something where if your eyes flutter, or they do these tests to tell if you're actually responding to the stimulus for
Input.
Yeah, your vestibular system. So they're your balance organs. So if you're off balance or off kilter, your eyes start to move. That's why they have sometimes follow my finger, right? And your eyes will just bounce across.
Is that why that kid in grade school was so bad at volleyball? I knew this
It could
kid.
be.
I knew this kid in
Or
grade.
he just sucked at volleyball.
I knew this kid in grade school who could not play volleyball. It's like, hey guys, I know you're probably enjoying the interview with Dan Dennison currently as we speak. And God, if no one's crushed dicks more than this guy, fucking dude, this guy has crushed so many dicks. All of them, actually. That being said, Bert Kreischer, stand-up comedian Bert Kreischer, is coming to town to Evansville, Indiana in September-October timeframe. Okay. Now, when he comes to town, our goal as the TDG cast crew, if you will, Thomas, Drew, myself, we are going to try to wrangle this motherfucker into an interview. Now, the way we plan on doing that is, depending on you, our 4 monthly listeners. Now, if you guys basically go first and foremost, go follow Bert Kreischer on IG. That being said, so you can see every single one of his posts that pop up. Now, if you once you follow him, every single post that he posts every day, all you have to do to be entered into this drawing to help us corral him into the shoebox, all you have to do is basically every time Bert Kreischer posts anything on IG, all you have to do is say, hey, while you're in Evansville in September, October, whatever the date is, I wish I had a team here, but I don't because I'm in an empty room right now. All you have to do is say, hey, while you're in Evansville, Indiana, check out the Days Grimm podcast. Bada, bada, bada. But for it to count, and which I'm getting to the end of, for it to count, you have to say, while you're in Evansville, check out at the Days Grimm and then tag us in that comment. Okay. Now, for every single person that does this, their IG handle will be thrown into a pot. Okay. And when your IG handle gets thrown into a pot, this will go on and on and on and on and on and on until late August, which we will declare a winner. Now, what does the winner get? Jesus Christ, Brian, I'm glad you fucking asked. The winner of said Bert Kreischer Bonanza will get a official TDG merch bundle. Now, this is going to include several high-dollar ticket items from thedaysgrimm.com. So not only will you get that, but you will also get your IG name shouted out live, obviously on the drawing. And then not to mention, if Bert Kreischer walks into my studio, not only am I going to shit in that chair across the room, we are for sure going to invite you for said episode. So do your best. Instagram, we leave it up to you, man. So do your job. Do what you guys are good at. Just follow his Instagram, go to his next post, tag, check out at the Days Grimm podcast while you're in Evansville in September. And you could win some super sick merch like I'm wearing today, so do that. Help us out. Help us keep the lights on. Help us get some bigger names in here and some really, really great folks, and help us keep the tradition alive, man. Not to say that we haven't had great folks in here, but just keep it alive. So we're going to go back to Dan's extremely heart-moving interview. The ball would be clearly coming at him, and all you have to do is just boop. You know what I mean? Just boop. He would fall over before he just Not an athlete.
So-
he may need glasses, but eventually, then I had a final surgery. He was just very bad, needed glasses.
yeah,
But that happens.
yeah.
But at a final surgery, they just kind of drilled out the inner ear. Now my hearing was almost gone at that point already, so there was no serviceable hearing. So they said, "We'll just destroy your inner ear."
Did you have to like relearn balance after that?
To a large degree. What you do is they say, "Hey, go walking outside and looking around a lot."
Were you raising the two kids by yourself at that point too?
Well, no. Their mom was still around at the time. Which is
There was a separation.
Oh, well, there was well, we can call it more than that. She just kind of lost it.
Okay, fair enough.
God told her to do some terrible things.
Oh, Jonestown.
One of those things.
Jonestown-esque.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Lunatic. Yeah.
Lunacy.
Psychosis-esque.
Right.
But then at the time, of course, I couldn't do much of anything.
Right.
And I think that in some ways, the responsibility went to her, and just couldn't handle it and just kind of folded under that pressure. And then, things obviously continued to go downhill. But at that point, then I got to the point where I couldn't work, and it was basically an immediately disabling condition. So it's like, boom, you're on disability, bye.
You couldn't even go to work, or
No, I was done.
toast.
Yeah. So I'd actually, transferred over to a good job, and a lot of difficulty ensued with regard to, when they pay you money to come over and getting it back and all this other stuff and securities licenses and everything. Basically, it just kind of destroyed the career, and I couldn't get my licenses back after that. So I really...
So that was kind of like a down spell.
It was an absolutely awful experience because, I lost my profession, I lost my home, I lost my income, and I had a very good income. And I went from that to disability income. And one of the real kicks in the ass is when you have a job and you transfer jobs, then you have an exclusionary period for your long-term disability. And mine was, I believe, 30 days.
I don't know what that means.
Okay, which
actually.
means if you were treated for a certain condition within that first 30 days, you don't qualify for any long-term disability benefit.
Oh, okay.
And your long-term disability benefit is 2/3 of your annual revenue or annual income.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, well then I have long-term disability at work. It's 2/3 of my annual income, which would be a pretty good income.
Yeah.
I go apply for that, and they said, the 30th day, I shit you not, on the 30th day, your doctor prescribed you a water pill for fluid retention in your ear. You do not qualify.
Wow.
So I went from the potential of probably making, a decent, almost six-figure income from disability to the point of 65 to Social Security disability. So it was really difficult. So in losing all that, that was like the first major difficulty, for us.
And how old were your kids at the time?
Paige would have been 5 or 6, and Grant was 2 or 3.
Oof.
And then at the time it was like, we got support structures and out of state from my family, yada yada yada. Let's go do that. And we, lost the house, everything else, moved away. That didn't work.
Is that when you go to South Dakota?
That was when in South Dakota, yeah. So so it's awful, cold, brutal. Eventually got back here.
Oh, it was South Dakota.
Yeah,
South
Dakota.
I heard South
Yeah.
Carolina in my head.
No, that's why I was thinking. I was wondering. I was like, okay, sure, we'll go with it.
No. Damn, shout out.
That's okay. That's okay.
I got my Souths mixed up. South Dakota, South Carolina.
What's the difference? Yeah, big
I
difference.
did
Yeah.
graduate college, I promise. I swear to God I did. I don't know how I messed that
At
up.
least you didn't have to pay $18,000.
Yeah. How are you doing with hearing at the headphones with your jacked up ear?
Fine, my one ear works, so you're completely wasting one side of this on me.
Nice,
so
man.
I can sit here like this, and it's all the same.
Burning that one out
Yeah,
for
this,
no
it's
reason.
just for looks.
Yeah.
Just like the nice Honeycrisp
Aesthetics.
apple look I've got going on after golfing today without a hat on for too long.
So
Yeah.
what moves you back to Indiana from South Dakota?
So it just decided, hey, let's just go back. We're miserable here. There was actually a mutual agreement. We were already divorced at the time, and came back to Indiana, and then a lot of bad stuff happens from there. But
What kind of bad stuff is happening?
well,
come
we
back to
came
Indiana?
back, and then she decided that she was just going to bolt with the kids.
and both your
just-
kids have autism.
Yeah, they're spectrum. Yeah,
So
nothing severe. I mean, they're of course high functioning autism spectrum, and over time you kind of you don't know they're on the spectrum at
well,
first.
so I was going to say, did you know at that time that they were on the spectrum?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No, they were still younger, and usually it manifests very differently too in boys and girls. Which for Paige, it was not something you just necessarily she would even know. Hey, this is what it is. The difficulties that you have, because they always look at it from kind of the boy's perspective. At least that's that the diagnosis was based on.
What is?
And it was
difference there?
Asperger's. Usually it was called Asperger's in the past. Rasmu's been out
But
of
now
the spectrum because they put everything together on that.
Yeah, now Asperger's is like a completely separate diagnosis.
Yeah, they don't even use it, I don't think.
Well, they said
I think it's seen as something more archaic.
Wasn't Elon Musk diagnosed with Asperger's?
Yeah, so he's on the
Yeah.
spectrum. Then today he would
Yes.
be called a spectrum.
Yeah, I believe he was.
And an
So-
Asperger's typically is you don't have any developmenal delays, but you have other things like it could be
Tics
social
or-
cues,
or
difficulty
cues.
with social interactions, particular interest. There's a lot of things that go into it, but everybody's different, and that's why it's the spectrum. Everybody's different than the other. One thing affects someone where it doesn't affect another, and you have a lot of those brainiacs that like Grant was a cuber, and Paige was good at art, and they all have their different skills.
They say nowadays, with the way technology is going, you're almost going to have a form of one of those spectrum categories to keep up with the digital age and everything.
Yeah, and I think it was Temple Grandin was one of the folks in academia, had been around a lot. She's actually a spectrum person that talks a lot about it and studied it, and really said that there would be no Silicon Valley without spectrum.
So what was it like when she takes the kids? Like, what was the process of getting
Well,
them back?
it was difficult because it was
It was when she got
situations
called to
where it was just, I'm gonna go get some stuff here and such and such, and all of a sudden, oh wait, I'm in Kansas City, and now I'm in Minnesota.
What?
And they're like, what? What
What are
it
we
just
doing
took off, clothes on their back, left everything.
Wow.
So that obviously starts a lot of the difficulties that occurred, and she did some really terrible things, and that my son had to endure. Eventually, I went after she had kind of just dumped him at a truck stop, which I hate to say, but that's what happened.
Jesus
About 5
Christ.
hours from their home, so I drove up there, and then once
Once that happened, it
social
was
services
all you.
picks them up, they become wards of the state, and I have to go to court to get my own children.
That's so dumb.
It's crazy.
That's
I'm like,
so
no,
dumb.
I'm here. Tell them their dad's here. I'm here to
Right.
get my kids. Well, no, you
Put
got to
that
go to
lady
court.
in jail, and then let
And
me
they did
take my
not charge
kids.
her. They saw her. She's on video too. The camera getting out. She walked up with them in a semi cab,
Makes
and
me
they
sick.
went to sleep. And they were 8 and 10 years old at the time. And it's like, okay, it.
It makes me sick.
Well, I said, you're not going to prosecute. Well, she'll say, because she said God told her to do it.
This is one of the crazy.
And you have to do what God says. So.
Okay, settle down, Jones.
So-
settle down,
so-
Mrs. Jones.
so
Yeah.
you-
So at that point, I got the kids back.
and that's
then it became
whole new experience
Yeah.
of being a single dad of
Yeah.
2 kids and
Yeah. And
having
then-
to.
and where are you at in your disability at this point?
Oh, I've been off disability for some
So
time.
now-
So I worked my way off of disability.
So at this
So
point,
when I
you're-
went on disability, at that point, back then,
when you went and got
I
them from
was-
the truck stop,
yeah, I was
and then come
still
back.
on it. I believe I had started school or as close to that to say find out what I wanted to do to try to get off disability, and
Mhm.
I went to graduate school and was working on my master's, and then decided, well, teaching's not really going to pay the bills, so I'll just thanks for this master's degree, and I'll go do something else.
yeah.
But I wanted to do it. I enjoyed writing the
Do
thesis.
professors not make good money?
Well, it would be hard
I-
to be a professorship because you would, one, either be an adjunct, or two, be at a smaller university with just a master's degree and you wouldn't make much, or you can get your teaching license. And I had, I qualified to teach college level credits at the high school level.
Yeah.
But still, you're going to start, no matter how old you are and however much experience you are, at the bottom.
Yeah.
So that's really not something that was going to work.
Right.
So I just went a different route.
So what'd you end up doing
So I went into banking after a couple years, and
with the financial
other stories
background?
here and there. Yeah, so I figured, okay, I can do that. And because of the issue with where I worked before, I couldn't get my licenses back immediately, and that. Well, I tried before when I was going to get a job doing brokerage again. They go, well, we can't do it because obviously after all that happened, there's a bankruptcy on the record, and 2, there's an arbitration ruling against a FINRA firm because I owed him money because obviously needs to get the money from me poor disabled Dan because the multi-billion-dollar company.
100%.
They destroy me. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Dick.
Yeah. So with that, and then of course go the route of after that. Then actually, when we were in South Dakota, of course, I had another wonderful event. I was 40 years old, out fishing, had a heart attack.
Oh man,
you had a heart attack?
Yeah, 40. It's really a funny story. I mean, think back funny Dan. Heart attacks, right?
Yeah, right? My heart just quit working.
Okay, yeah,
fucking hilarious.
But yeah,
what is wrong with you?
Well, you haven't heard the whole story yet. Now,
Jesus, dude.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Fred
Still
Sanford
ticking.
on my way.
Still taking.
But yeah, I was out fishing. It was hot as hell. It was like in the summer, 90 degrees. We'd park like quarter mile up the road, and I was just like, man, I don't feel well. I just feel ill. I don't know what it is. And it's okay. Well, I'll just sit down a little bit.
Take a breather.
Yeah. It's okay. And all of a sudden, I got really nauseous. It was just like start getting sick.
Another symptom?
Is it? Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
And then my arm started getting. I'm like, uh-oh.
Big symptom?
Yeah. Not a problem. Not good. We got a problem here.
Yeah, tingly
so
limbs.
it's like, hey, I tell my friend, go get the car. Let's go. I think this is serious, whatever it is. And so they kind of run a quarter mile up the road, get the car, come back, and then start loading up the fishing gear. I'm like, don't worry so much about the fishing gear. Let's just go.
Right.
But went ahead and loaded it up though. And then it's like, okay, do we call the ambulance or do we drive to the hospital? Well, just drive. And then my heart, I didn't actually have chest pain until that point, until after we started driving. And so we just drove to the hospital. So it was a smaller hospital in a little town, about an hour drive north of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And pull up and runs in there. Hey, I think my friend's having a heart attack. So they come out, get the wheelchair with me, and I go to lay me on the bed and hook all the stuff up to me. I think, of course, they give you whatever that protocol is, morphine, this and that, and this clot buster medicine, whatever, to keep you sick. Because basically, a heart attack is a blood clot in the coronary artery. It's patching something like a piece of plaque that broke off. So they thin your blood out a lot. So
but they give you an EKG that takes longer to set up than it does to run.
So I'm lying there in the bed. The nurse sets up the EKG. The doctor's standing next to her. And I look over. Of course, I'm curious about everything, even while I'm having a heart attack. And you'll get more of this as the story goes on. But I look over and her face, she looks up at the doctor like this. I was like, that ain't good.
Yeah. What's wrong, honey?
Yeah, something ain't right. She's like, you have an ST elevation really bad, you having a heart attack, and we're going to have to fly you to Sioux Falls.
Oh, man.
Like, oh, okay. Well, let's hurry up with that. Let's go ahead and do that. And they wheel me out. The chopper shows. They, this hospital doesn't have one. This other hospital does. So they're going to send the chopper, and we're going to get on that one. So I go out there. They roll me up in this chopper. And you would think that helicopters would have nice air-conditioned environments.
No.
But apparently this one was hot.
Fresh out of Vietnam.
Oh, it was awful. So I'm up there sweating crazy, flying in a chopper, having a heart attack, thinking, okay, this is it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go. I'm going to die on this helicopter.
It's lights out.
Yeah, because you're out, in and out kind of, and feeling well. But I think they got the clot out for the most part. But
could you
it was still pretty much shut.
I don't think it was if you were like on morphine or whatever, and the guy hits the intercom, it's like, bow, like the start of those war movies, you know what I mean?
You just don't lead them so much, Tim. You got so the funnier part is I'm on this helicopter. It's super sweaty. They got all the electrodes hooked up.
Yeah. You're having a heart attack.
And I'm so sweaty when it comes off.
Yeah.
So you saw the flat line. Well, the nurse comes and jumps up out of the chair with her hands together like this. I was like, whoa, I'm still awake.
I'm still good.
No, I haven't coded. I'm still here.
Don't break my ribs yet.
So
please.
I finally get to the Sioux Falls. They, get me on the roof, take me down. A million people in the ER. This is, hey, we got to get you to the cath lab right now. Roll me back there, get me on the table, and of course, as Dan will do what Dan does. So I'm looking up and checking out the monitors.
All the bells and
curious
whistles.
What's going on.
Yeah.
And this, I just feel two hands on my shoulders and just slams me down on the table. Says, hey, we're trying to save your life. You want to sit still? Yeah, I'll do that thing. So then the doctor said, sorry, but we don't have time to numb you for this, but we're going to cath you here through your leg, or and it's going to hurt a little bit. So, of course, they have to insert something to put the cath in, so whatever tube that is that they just shove in.
Yeah, we don't have to get in too much detail.
It's like now and you're telling me not to sit up?
I will take a quick pause in this traumatic story, by the way. Thomas will pass out if we get too into depth with like blood and guts.
Okay,
and
there's
stuff.
that'd be done. But,
Or like needles and anything.
Yeah.
So like
we'll just say terribly painful.
Yeah, I can
Once they
imagine.
did that, you just kind of felt it when they got that up there and they opened it up and then put the stent in. You kind of feel, oh my goodness, it's like the blood rushes to your head. So I got a nice stent there. I got a couple more later. So I've got a good supply of hardware in my coronary arteries.
Does
right now.
the banking industry allow for like more time off? Like if Paige or Grant get sick, you can work from home. Is that more of?
No, it was something though where they allowed me to do what I needed to do. After Grant got sick.
Which so what was the time like before Grant got sick?
Well, I was okay then. I wasn't sick. I was, came back. Kind of, got past the heart attack stuff. Of course, I had just a little one later. It wasn't. I don't consider it one. I don't count that one.
Yeah. Just shook it
They
off.
have their own criteria. I have mine.
I drank some water. I stretched out. I felt fine.
No, but no, I really hadn't had any issues with that. The Meniere's was in the past. I still have balance issues, of course, at times. But the heart stuff's fine. Just taking the medicine I needed. And really don't have any, blockages. I had stress tests. Everything's looking good. So at that point, then, everything was kind of...
We might have to take a slight break for a minute.
Are you not feeling well?
Yeah.
Okay.
We get some water.
And we're back.
So what was that time like of being a single dad of 2 kids and then like leading up to Grant's diagnosis?
I think, of course, we had, different circumstances, situations as they unfolded over that time. But it was good to just, there a few years before that, it was just us and kind of lived our life. And we, got a new home.
On the west side, right?
And, we're up with the cake eaters now. We live in Cambridge, but I always say I live in the poor section.
God, that's still just the name, Cambridge.
Yeah, we live in Cambridge. It's like the Kennedys.
Yeah, is there a fucking ski resort there?
No, there's a golf course.
You rich bastards!
I have a golf cart, so I had to. It's a requirement by the HOA.
Are you shitting me?
No, I'm not. I am.
I was gonna. I would believe you.
It's not required.
I would believe you,
but it's nice to have.
Yeah, because then you can scoot around and show everybody your new Rolex or whatever.
Yeah, look how high my brows are.
Yeah, look at my new rims that I spent $20,000 on my golf cart for.
Yeah,
jeez.
Yeah.
At least you can order Pizza Chef there in Cambridge.
Isn't Cambridge like the name of a really fancy school somewhere? I'm pretty sure.
It's in England.
Or is it a ski resort?
In England, I was there actually.
Yeah, it's in England. Okay.
I was in a choir, U of E children's choir when I was young, like 12 years old. Went to
call back
to U of E.
Shout out.
And I cannot sing now, but back then, and we did a England tour. We went to Belgium first, and we went to England and went all around England and Wales and such. And very interesting, great experience.
What grade was that?
Oh, I was 12 years old.
So you could drink a beer then, right?
No, I don't think so. But they did have.
They would let him smoke marijuana though. No, I'm joking. No, I don't. England or Europe in general is just weird about like how young you can be, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, he's 10, and yeah, he likes heroin."
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just they don't care. They're like, "Can you walk on your own 2 feet? Yeah, you can have a beer, whatever.
Yeah.
Come on in, pal.
Find yourself."
Yeah.
So
and you don't get your license until you're like 20 or something.
So I guess leading up to like, how did you guys know that something was wrong with Grant?
Well, at first, he started complaining about pain in his hip. That he said, it really hurts and hurts when I walk. And I said, well, okay, we'll give it a little bit and see how it goes. And continued. And we went in to the doctor, and they had done an X-ray only, or X-ray, and they did blood work, and everything seems fine. It seems a little firm there. In his pelvis area where it was hurting. But, we'll send him to, rehab or, whatever it is, physical therapy or whatever, see if that'll help. Well, it continued. By the time before we had the appointment to go into physical therapy, he had walked out one day into the kitchen with his shorts, and I looked at his legs, and his foot and his ankle was just swollen really bad,
retaining water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, blood.
Yeah, it's just whatever the pressure had built up there and had water there.
Right.
Yeah,
and so I said, okay, well, we need to go in. You need to get checked. So we go back to his doctor again, but this time they do a CT. And when they did the CT scan, of course, we went in and they said, hey, we're going to do a CT. Why don't you go run up to Warwick where we can get you in right now and go ahead and get that CT in. And we're driving home and I get a call from the doctor's office and they said, hey, you need to come back to the office.
Wow.
And when you hear that, you know,
right, not
it's
good.
not good.
yeah.
So we went back to the office and sitting there with a doctor who was filling in for the normal pediatrician. And so, well, we did the CAT scan and it's showing a tumor in his pelvis, but it's also showing some lesions in his lungs because it showed the lower lung in the CT.
Scan.
So we knew at that point, it was something as far as it was cancer. Didn't know what.
What type of cancer?
Yeah, what it was. So that night, went to Riley. Of course, I was, distraught, really couldn't do anything. A good friend of mine drove us up and checked in that night. So he went through, of course, your blood work, your tests and such, and then got his biopsy. And then really found out at the time, how serious it was. Of course, he'd already metastasized to both lungs. But, at first they assumed it was a Ewing sarcoma, which is a soft tissue sarcoma. But it is similar to Ewing's, but it's a very rare sarcoma, soft tissue sarcoma that is, it is named through it's a chromosomal translocation. It's called CICDUX4. It's a very rare sarcoma.
So sounds like Elon's next kid's name.
Yeah,
Checks
very
out.
much.
That checks out.
Exactly. And from my understanding now, I think they believe there's probably maybe 100 cases in the world at any given time.
Wow.
Anyone who's presented with metastatic disease, and at least through the literature so far. I know there's one person that hasn't, and I don't know the severity of it at the time, but most don't make it. So it's a very aggressive and very rare soft tissue sarcoma. So from that point on, we obviously had a very long, difficult road ahead of us. But at the same time, you saw the slow transformation, of a kind of young, dorky spectrum kid,
Spry,
into a mature, courageous man. It's the transformation you saw through his battle with cancer was awe-inspiring.
You have, you have to.
And I can't even, explain, who he was as a person.
And how old is he at this point?
He's 15.
Well, you said Grant was a huge history guy. Did he get that from you? You think, or?
Well, yeah, I think so. He really liked, reading up on political ideologies, and it was one of the things that I was into and enjoyed, and he'd take on different things and read those things, and really became very much interested in it and dove into that. So that was one of his things he enjoyed. He was a cuber, so he liked to do speed cubing.
What does that mean?
Well, you solve Rubik's cubes
as fast
very
as
quickly.
You
So
have you seen? Can we? May I?
What?
That demon devil Death Star. Do you remember that we did
There's all kinds of different cubes.
Do you know how many different cubes there are?
there are tons.
There's one that's shaped like a pentagram. It's just like a three-dimensional star.
Yeah,
and
they're all kinds.
I couldn't even wrap my brain around
It's
it.
all algorithms.
Yeah. He went to some of the competitions.
But he understood it well. That's
And
intriguing.
he thought, "Oh, I'm so terrible. I can only do it in 30 seconds. It takes me 30 seconds." I'm like, "Oh well, Because I know the world records are a few seconds of this or that, and you go to the competitions, and they just hammer them out. And they have 3x3s, the regular cubes, the 4x4s, the pyramids, and some of they do them blindfolded, they do them with their feet. They're just amazing to watch it. And we always joked about it. We would go in, Paige and I and Grant, and we call it like a spectrum convention. It's like, cause I said, how many folks are going to have their hair come straight down and their shoes untied? It's like, most of them. We'd all laugh about it because we could joke about those things.
Right.
It's good.
We lived with it our whole life.
Well, you also said Grant had a great sense of humor. Through the diagnosis.
It was amazing. And I think, aside from the sense of humor, even from the beginning, I'll expound on that, but in the beginning, even, you knew, where his mindset was as a person. When we first sat down with the doctor, and he explained the severity of what he had, and how this will be an uphill battle.
Did they just say like, "Hey, sorry guys, there's no good way out of this. Like, this is how long you have," or did they say, "Hey, there is a chance"?
They basically said, "Well, they didn't give us a percentage or anything. They just said it will be a very uphill battle. It has a tendency to continue to come back and become resistant to chemo very quickly." And explain what it was and the type of sarcoma it was and how rare, and directly to him. And his first response and reaction was to look directly at me and say, "Dad, are you okay?"
Jesus fucking Christ.
So it's not selfless. Immediately was not about him. It became about the people he cared for and the people he loved, which it never ended. It never stopped. So for him, in the next line, it's the same. It's quintessential Grant. He came right back, and the next line was, "Well, I guess I should read up a little more on my stoicism." I'm like, oh, you got to be shitting me, Grant. You just said that.
What was his favorite Stoic?
So Marcus Aurelius. And of course meditations,
Solid.
And he would definitely read it, and he lived that. So he was able to live Stoicism in a way that not to worry about the things you can't control. To find virtue where you can and goodness, and and do the right thing, and be in the right mindset.
Did he take notes while reading these?
No, he could just absorb things like that.
I just didn't know if you got to stumble upon some of his Stoic notes or anything.
No,
like that.
it would be more just imprinted on his brain.
Yeah,
because he would bring up quotes or whatever sometimes and start talking about them. I was like, well, I don't remember reading that, but I hadn't read Marcus Aurelius in years, goodness, and so he really delved into those things, and but his sense of humor was always on point, and through all that, and there were a couple things or a few things, in addition to just the courage and resilience that he showed. Was one, it was everything was done to be sure that everyone else was okay. And this is a 15-year-old boy, and he only made it a year or 12. He died almost a year from his diagnosis. But also to be able to look at things with a sense of humor still, and some of the funniest things. In some ways, he would say things that are so funny that. It's like if you had to sob and belly laugh at the same time. It's like, how do you? I can't do this.
My brain.
I can't process this.
Yeah.
They're some of them were kind of simple or basic. Very just quick in the way he delivered it. A good friend of ours, which we consider family. Once he's talking about, well, I know somebody that, his son passed, and he got his heartbeat tattooed there on his shoulder.
Yeah.
And Grant just looks at him and says, "So it was just a straight line?" It's just that's who he was, and he was able to do that and just laugh about it.
Right.
And knowing still, keep in mind he couldn't walk. He was in a walker. I pushed him around. Everything we did for a whole year, it was me, the only parent. We spent all our time at Riley at the Ronald McDonald House, months and months, and we had weekends. Sometimes we come back, but this was a resilient kid that said, "This is business. I'm going to do what I need to do I'm going to take my medicine. I'm going to do my rounds and rounds of chemo. I'm going to be sick over and over. I'm going to, get all the radiation treatments over and over. Everything he did through all of that, never once, all the way near to the end, there was never one complaint.
Wow.
I could not do that.
It goes back to the stoicism, though, as far as like he was reading up on about let's harness what we can, and then everything else, all the chance and percentage is out of his control. Yeah. It's like I'm doing 100% of what everyone is telling me is the right thing to do. And I think and then to have the sense of humor. I got to bring this up because not only Grant, but Paige has a great sense of humor as well. We mentioned on the podcast a few weeks ago about doing the Granted Over the Edge event, and we were at the soiree thing.
That's where we met each other.
Yeah, that's where we met.
Yeah, the pre-day.
The VIP dinner.
Yeah, the VIP dinner where all the sponsors show up and hang out, and we're wine and dine or whatever. It's really not that elegant, but we were hanging out and having a couple beers, and then we stumbled across you, and we meet you, and then we met Paige, and we're all kind of sitting there talking, and then you had left and walked away and done something. You went somewhere to talk to someone, and Thomas and I are sitting there talking to Paige, and Paige is like, man, something weird happened when I walked over here. And we were both just, at this point, we both know that she has autism. We had already discussed that. And we're just sitting there listening to her. Something weird happened when I walked over here. She was like, my TISM radar was going off. And I was like, immediately I looked at Thomas. I was like, she's talking about you, bro.
Right.
Beep, 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 beep.
Oh, dude, I'm going to point at this guy, dude. So we joked about that on the podcast, probably a few times now.
So when does Granted get involved with you and Grant?
Okay, yeah. Actually, I had reached out to Granted.
Because they're a fairly new organization at that time?
Yeah, well, they've been around quite a while. They used to be Wish Upon a Star.
Okay.
No way.
Yeah, so
I did not know that.
Yeah, they had,
I know Wish Upon a
changed
Star.
their names.
Back from when I was little.
Because there was a lot of confusion with Make-A-Wish and the like. Now, Grant had been, through somebody from work, submitted to Make-A-Wish and was accepted as a Wish kid. And I had reached out to Granted and is also accepted through there. So, you have to make a determination. You're not going to get a wish from both. But, but at the time, his wish was to meet Mr. Beast. That's what he wanted to do, the YouTuber. And Make-A-Wish definitely had the YouTube connections.
Right.
So we decided because of that, we'd go through Make-A-Wish for his wish. Now, and they had, I think, reached out to Mr. Beast, and he didn't want to do it or didn't do it. And I was like, you suck.
Wow.
Fuck that guy.
But I'm sure he gets a lot of requests. But I mean, come on, dude.
You heard it here on the Days Grimm.
Yeah.
Suck it, Mr. Beast.
Yeah, Mr. Beast.
Yeah, fuck you.
Come on,
I'm
man.
joking. That's tragic.
Yeah.
That's trash.
So then we went ahead and stayed with them, and what Grant said was, I'll tell you what, I'm going to build a gaming system. I was like, well, you've never built a gaming system.
Right.
Like, no, I know what I'm doing.
Okay.
So he had studied this stuff and was in the YouTubes and done all this stuff. So he goes, here, I got my parts list. I'm like, okay, you got your parts list. I'm thinking, you've never done this before. So we reached out, and they got a hold of some folks at this gaming league and indie and whatever else, and get on this Zoom meeting. He pulls out the list, and they're all looking at it and like, man, this is a damn good system. He's like, you got everything you need. This is great. I wish I had this. So he ends up getting submitted in, and the local company built it, and
this is the wish.
Kind of yeah. So his wish became the gaming system, and that's what he ended up getting.
Shit.
So and he built, people are saying, that, whatever that was, it the whatever one of the cards or whatever cost $2,000 or $3,000 alone or whatever
the graphics card.
Yeah, and. So he'd built this PC, and the guy that came and put together from the computer place, he goes, I've never seen anything like this aside from a computational PC for chemistry or something. It runs 24/7. He goes, this is probably the best one in town. Like, oh, wow, Grant, you really built a hell of a system. And I just like the lights. They're kind of pretty on the monitor. It's like, ooh, it's nice.
That's me, too.
Nice lights.
Whoa,
dude. So that's what his wish was. Now, keep in mind, through this, though, Granted, being that we're still a Granted family, and Granted is much more than just a Wish organization. They do Beyond the Wish programming, which is family support and many, many other things for the families.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, these families, like we were struggling greatly. You have a lot of stuff going on, a lot of difficulty, a lot of hardship.
Well, and a lot of driving to Indianapolis and back before
people
69.
have financial difficulties
You've
where
got
they
shit everywhere where you're just trying to keep it. And as the solo parent, you're just trying to keep the ball. Sorry, I've got to pop this.
God bless.
But you're just trying to keep the ball rolling.
Right.
And as a single parent, somebody like Granted coming in and just being like, "Hey, man, like, here's what we can do." Like that had to be just phenomenal.
Yeah, and for me at the time, I was okay financially. I didn't, I guess sometimes more pride than other things, but I didn't ask for anything. I didn't say, "Hey, I need this," but we do. If people need gas cards or people need grocery, or they need these things that we can bring to the table.
Which something as simple as picking up the groceries from the store and taking it to the house is.
They do something that's simple to the most difficult. If families need, heaven forbid, funeral planning.
Yeah.
To help with those things. So it's an amazing organization, and of course you'll get to learn more about it. But as we went through this process, of his struggle and his fight, and as it eventually unfolded, unfortunately, where he became terminal, and he was at hospice, and they came, Jeff and Susan Granted came to hospice to see him, and it was about the time of the first Over the Edge event, I guess a couple of days before he passed. And they've been involved since with us, and then I later joined the Granted board because I felt, although you still deal with the struggle, and there's a lot to talk about when it comes to grief and how you cope and handle and deal with those things as a parent. I needed to find a way forward as well. And a way forward through grief is to find a purpose and find a meaning. And you have to find that. If you don't, it's very difficult. But also as a responsibility. So as a parent, my responsibility now, in addition to being a parent to Paige, is to hold his legacy in trust and his memory, because that's my job as a parent now. And in doing that, I can find purpose going forward and meaning for him and for others. And so as a parent, you don't want your kid forgotten, especially, and everybody's kid's special and important. But I believe that he was such a special human being that his story needs to be told, that, one of courage and resilience and kindness and love and all the things that he represented as a human being, you do not see very often, especially in a 15, 16-year-old boy.
Right.
Who then says, hey, then I can say, okay, this is what I have to carry forward for you as your parent.
And I feel like you do a lot with like paying homage. Like when we met you,
I was going to say the same thing.
You were talking about how Grant loved American flags and had like a American flag hoodie that actually had the same exact one, but you repelled from the building with the hoodie, and they let you take it, and you were swinging it in the air when you were halfway and stuff.
I had it strapped to me. It's just kind of doing the fist pump and everything, trying to whoop it up for everybody. But all those folks doing wonderful things on Over the Edge, and it's wonderful to be able to do that. Now, obviously, you have the purpose there, and you have the meaning, and you have that legacy, and you have your daughter to help you and to carry forward. And obviously, she's struggling too. As a sibling, the closest person to him, and him the closest person to her. But it's still a struggle. Grief is a terrible thing. Yeah, especially as a parent.
It doesn't just go away.
No.
Because you're like, oh, well, this is what I have to focus on now. Like, even though you're focused and driven, it doesn't go away. The pain doesn't go away.
No, grief is complex, and it's difficult, and it is comprised of so many things. Anger and frustration and sorrow and longing and guilt.
What was that grieving process like for you you and Paige, your family?
It's still there. It's just it is a process. It's one of those things where everybody's different. and how they grieve. And there's no A, B, C, D. You know, you have the stages of grief, of course, but of course that doesn't always apply because people make it seem as if there's one step to the next step to the next
And
step.
it
No,
can come
it's all
completely out of
over
order.
the place.
It's not like a linear process.
No, it is not linear at all. And everyone's different. And the biggest difficulty for me is you live in a society that doesn't understand it and a society that's fearful of it. When you go back into the world, one, you know, all the other difficulties don't go away.
Right. They're still there.
You're someone who
piling up.
lost your child, and you have to figure out how to live. One of the best quotes I ever heard was, you know, after you lose a child, you don't fear death, you fear living. Because everything you do is done with a bit of guilt.
Yeah.
Because after your kid passes, you're like, that should have been me with them, you know, without them, me alone. But still, I'm going forward. I shouldn't be doing this. So everything you do, joy can be grief. You know, moving forward day to day can be grief.
No.
Or I'm sorry, guilt. You know, guilt in those things you do. But the process, it is horrific. And I can't put any other words to it than that. And it still is. And the thing is, you learn to wear the mask. You learn to live in a way that society accepts it. Because you don't, you know, your bills don't go away. Your mortgage doesn't go away. Somebody doesn't just swoop down and go, you know what? You don't need to deal with all this. Let's just take care of that for you.
All of, you know, whatever, you know, special conditions and issues that you have to deal with Paige, those don't go away.
No.
Exactly.
Well, and I think also we're big proponents of men's mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And you're one tough son of a bitch going through everything that we've touched on throughout the episode, you know, like what do you think you do to keep that in a positive versus a negative, you know what I mean?
Well, I think really what you do, I think what I've learned to do over the years, and it's not the healthiest of things, but you become an expert of compartmentalizing. You put aside what you have to put aside so you can get through the day. You can get through the situation. You get through whatever it is. Now, when it comes to pain and difficulty, you know, eventually that shit has to be dealt with, or it will come back in a much uglier
tenfold.
Much uglier fashion, and it will manifest somehow. And whether it be yourself, your kids, your family, in some way, and it definitely has to be dealt with.
What do you think? You mentioned golf previously. Yeah. Is that like one of your main outlets, or do you do something else to help?
Yeah, it's definitely one of the main ones. I think, you know, just spending time with family and friends and doing those things. You know, over the years, you know, talking about the things that I've dealt with, you do compartmentalize. You basically bank it at what you can bank and what pressure you can release at the time. But there's a lot to deal with, and obviously now with, you know, losing a child and that type of difficulty, the other stuff is insignificant to me. It's who cares if I got sick? Who cares if I lost my job? Who cares?
Don't sweat
because
small shit.
You realize that shit doesn't matter, man.
It doesn't.
Now, of course, yeah, my health matters. I get it. Especially it matters to my daughter and to Paige and my family and friends. But as far as the difficulty inside you psychologically, it is not something that's paramount. And for men, you know, in this society, you know, mental health, of course, you know, the difficulty that we've had to deal with, you know, society is like, you know, hey, buddy, you know, yeah, you're a guy. Do you have a human brain? You know, well, some are better than others. We get that.
Yeah.
You know, but you got to deal with your shit somehow. And you've got to accept the fact that you're human and you have difficulties and you have to address it and not think that you're weak. You know what weak is? Weak is somebody who doesn't deal with it. Weak is somebody who goes forward with their pain inside them and it affects themselves and their family and their friends.
And a lot of men do not handle it well.
Well, I was gonna say, do you think you and Paige's relationship strengthened after Grant's loss, or do you think it kind of went apart and then came back?
I think it strengthened, and I think that's another thing when you look at grief and you look at pain, you learn a lot. And one of the things you learn is that no matter how bad something is, no matter how difficult something may be, there is light to be found somewhere. You just have to look harder. Sometimes it's not a lot. Maybe it's dim, but you have to find the light and you have to find that positivity. And obviously, with the difficulty we'd all been through over the years, everything was, thrown asunder a lot of times. But, Paige and I can actually, come together and grieve together and be here for each other and be there for Grant. And obviously, though, as a parent, you're still going to approach things in a way with your kid that you're going to stay strong. My job from day one was to stay strong. When he's diagnosed, okay, Grant, I'm taking you here for treatment. I'm going to Riley. I'm going to the Rondon. I'm sleeping on the vinyl couch every night that's made for cleaning, not for being comfortable. Right. I'm doing all these things, and you go and you go and you go and you go and you learn how to just be strong and find your moments where you can be weak. So, Grant goes to sleep at night in the hospital room, and you got the curtain you could pull back, and then you could have your moment of emotion. Because I couldn't, well, I could, but you don't want to show that
Right.
and express that when he's there fighting. So, because his biggest concern would be me
Right.
Yeah.
being upset, not himself. So I had to do that. And then so going back to that and the strength that you have to find in so many ways. And one of those things you do is you find strength in others. And you don't need a lot of people in your life to turn to. You just need a small number.
A few solid ones.
The solid people that you can count on. And we're fortunate enough to have that. And I think it's necessary in many ways. And one, as I talked about before, about the culture that basically looks at grief or pain as something that needs fixed. And we are a society that says, hey, let's fix this. This needs fixed. Let's have a problem. Let's find a solution.
Right,
Let's
take
find
this
some
pill and
platitudes to
forget
tell you that make no sense, and you wouldn't believe them if it was you.
Yeah.
But you're in a society that it's almost, you feel as if a bereaved parent, right? That you get back from the world and everybody got together and said, okay, everybody just act like nothing happened. Because, well, we're uncomfortable talking about this. We don't want to make him feel bad. Well, news, you ain't going to make me feel worse.
Yeah.
than
I'm
what I
already
am,
there.
right?
I'm already there.
So for me as a parent, the avoidance of it, to me, I take that, internalize as, okay, is that what my sons were?
Yeah. It makes it worse.
Is his life, is his suffering, is his death, is our difficulty as a family, and Paige and myself now, we're silence. Or looking at your shoes as you walk past, or ignoring. Now, I get the difficulty and the discomfort people have with this type of thing. Obviously, what do you do? What do you say? A lot of it is people don't want to think this about their own kids, obviously. And they know thinking about that is too hard to handle. Well, obviously, that's true.
But that's
But I
another
live
way
it.
that people can connect. And,
Yes.
and that's what we talk about too, is like we had another person on that lost their child. And then we also have a decent amount of ex-military people like Brian and stuff. But we find like it is an awkward, give or take conversation.
Exchange.
But at the same point in time, talking about it helps. Like this podcast episode probably helps you feel a little better. Same with
Absolutely.
ex-military.
It doesn't like so like the two guys that we lost in Afghanistan, I relate somewhat with what you're saying. Like if I don't talk about these two guys, specifically the one that I was very close to, if I don't talk about him, then it's like, then he's just gone. So then the only people that now remember him are obviously his family members who live in El Paso, Texas, who are very far away from me. It's a 24-hour drive. I don't get to see them very often. Shout out to the Loazes if you see this. But like every time on his anniversary, I go to the bar, I order 2 beers, I drink mine, I leave the one in the empty chair next to me, and then I take my bracelet off and I leave it on said beer, and then I go and put my new bracelet on and I just leave. But I do that every year for the last 10 years, coming up on 11 now.
Yeah.
And it's a way that, if nothing else, maybe someone at the bar will see that beer with a bracelet hanging out of it, or maybe the bartender will ask like, hey, what was this guy doing? Or, blah, blah. But if I don't do that, or if I don't talk about it to you or to whoever is willing to listen, then it's like, then what was it worth? You know, what is that? What he was worth was just 21 guns, and then that was his moment, and that's all he gets. It's like, no, it's so much more than that. He was so much more than just like a soldier. You know what I mean? And Grant was so much more than just a son. You know what I mean? He was a strong fucking dude at 15. Dude, the flatline joke, Jesus fucking. That, I mean, that.
Did you get a flatline tattoo?
No, I didn't. But and it gets better.
To have that.
Yeah, do you remember 15, the Cards Against Humanity joke?
Oh, yeah, I'll have to tell you that one. But to have that,
at 15, he said that to another grown-ass man who had just lost a child. And it's like, he's like, I'm going through the same shit, but so what, you got a flatline? Like, what's going on?
And then it was his friend, obviously, it wasn't his kid. It was he had lost his friend had lost a kid. Okay. But still, it's the same thing as to say, hey, I'm going to find the levity in this.
You have
in a way that says, okay, I feel that and I understand it.
Yeah.
But
here's what I got for you.
Here's how I'm going to deal with it.
Here's how I'm going to process this.
So I'll give you the Cards Against Humanity story, which is like one of the greatest things ever. It's the saddest and the funniest thing.
What is Cards Against Humanity? Because maybe not everybody's ever played this game.
This is a card game, and that has very, I guess, adult oriented, or what some would call vulgar, or type of topics, where you have a card that's played and it has a certain subject or a category, and then everybody has cards in their hand, and you would play a card that is either funniest or matches that best. So he was saying, hey, Dad, we need to get some card games. We can all play card games together and spend some more time. And say, that's great. Yeah, so he goes, and I want Cards Against Humanity, by the way. Like, you're the dad, it's like, okay, like I'm going to tell him no, right? He's like, yes, sir, you'll get what you want.
That's like one of the things, I guess, of being terminal is you got to do adult things with him.
Yeah, and he, it's like I wasn't good. And a funny thing, though, is like, hey, great, you need to try drinking some beer. And drink some beer.
Did he get to?
He's like, no, I can't take that with morphine. That would be wrong. So
he never did?
No, he wouldn't. He was like, I can't take that. Dad, I can't take that with morphine. That you just wrong. You can't do that. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to argue with you.
That's fair.
I mean, of course, he wasn't taking it. I would know when he took it or when he didn't. But and then he also,
can't take that with morphine.
Yeah, I can't do that. So he was a rule guy. It's like, this is how it is.
That's wrong.
Don't tell me. No, I know what's what. Don't tell me what.
Yeah.
But so we get Cards Against Humanity, right?
Yeah.
And at the time we have the hospital bed in the house. And of course, he later went to hospice because that was a decision we'd made. So it's me, my daughter Paige, my mom.
Mom's involved.
Yes, I know. Then their cousin who had come down from South Dakota to see Grant,
not South Carolina.
Yes, South D. Yeah.
South D.
And then so they kind of we're all sitting, so we're in his bedroom, and so I got the cards or whatever.
Yeah.
And the card that dropped for the category was favorite sexual position.
Nice.
And I'm like, oh God, how awkward is this with my daughter and my mom? So everybody's dropping cards, right? Grant comes at the end and he drops necrophilia. Right? And then without skipping a beat, he's like, well, that's the only way I'm getting laid. It's like, okay, and so how do you not sob and belly laugh at the same time? It's like, and he just sat there with the shitty grin on his face.
He was so proud of that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He was fucking working hard.
He's like, everybody just lost it, and he's like, I'm going to cry, I'm going to laugh, I'm going to cry, I'm going to laugh. But that's how he was, is his mind worked. He's like, this is something that I'm going to experience with my family.
That's fucking...
and then the same time, then you deal with all these other difficult things. But those are things he would drop. It's just the way he would deliver it too.
Right,
it's just
straight face.
It's like, it's just the way it was said, and it's like he was just. I guess he was destined to have that card in his hand. I was like, okay, I'm ready to play this thing.
Yeah, he got it, and the gears were turned. He was like, this is me.
I'm gonna drop this on him. Yeah,
yeah.
So that was him, and and he was just an amazing human being, a warrior human being, as somebody who I could never emulate. I never had the strength he's had, and I've had to be strong throughout my life, but not that kind of strong. And I always say, you know, the greatest man I've ever known was a 15-year-old boy.
It's a solid quote.
That's, I mean, there's a lot there. There's a lot of substance and a lot of foundation there. I don't think that anybody would be put in your shoes and say anything otherwise.
Yeah.
So obviously, like, I'm trying to figure out how to even like transition.
So you just do, what was the darkest moment on this journey with Grant, and what pulled you out? What kept you going?
Obviously, you know, his passing.
You don't have to go into detail.
No, I won't. I'll just say that, you know, most people are going to think of this obviously in the abstract. You know,
how do you mean?
A child dying, you know, and not think about the details of what actually happens. You know, it is a very, very, very difficult thing. It's a very awful thing. So those kind of things stick in your mind and they don't go away. That obviously I'll always deal with, and I'll always deal with grief, and Paige will always deal with grief.
The rest of your life.
Yeah, and it's always there. And it's not something, it's like now even, it's like, oh, Dan, you seem to be doing so much better. But yeah, when you see me, when I perfected the mask I have at work, you know, what I can do, and then I go home, you don't see me at home. You don't see me by myself.
Still falling
Yeah,
apart.
and you don't, and especially here the last few weeks have been really difficult for me. It's just, you can bank it so much, but trust me, interest compounds.
Yeah.
And it comes back. But the darkest period, obviously, is his loss. You know, when he passed. Overcoming that is a process. And it will always be, I think, as a parent, that is just something that's beyond comprehension, even to me still. So the best thing I can say for dealing with that, or how you don't overcome it. You know, grief is not something that's going to be cured. It's not something that's to be fixed. It's something that you just, if you have somebody and you know someone who's grieving or suffering, what you do is you say, I am here for you. That's how you help. You be truthful. You be honest. This sucks. This is awful. I'm here. You know, don't say, you know, hey, if you ever need me, just let me know if you need anything. Well, we're not going to contact you. You know, we're not going to say, okay, about these people that said that, who am I going to reach out? What are they going to do? You know, just do something. Just do. If somebody's struggling and they need some, and you know, if they're, especially you bereaved parents, just go. Do whatever you can think of.
So basically you had a strong support system.
Yeah, and I think through dealing with that is define meaning, define purpose the best you can, and take that, and you realize the weight of the cross you bear, you realize the weight of the cross you carry, or that you bear. It's a tremendous amount of weight. However, you reach a point where you realize you have to allow some of that weight to push you forward. It can't all push you down. So you take that weight to push you forward as legacy of memory of, you know, of your daughter, your family. You know, what do you want for your life going forward? Well, that's still a question that's to be answered. I don't know. What I want is to, you know, I want it all to go away, but it's not. No. So it's finding a way to deal with that and to cope and to find people and to go through organizations like Granted and help other people and say, hey, maybe because I was involved in this, maybe because something I did or something that had to do with my efforts or the people that knew Grant somehow translates into some kid being able to get a wish. Maybe it means a family getting support. Maybe it means, you know, something that I'll never know or never hear about. But you have to take difficulty, and you have to take the cross you bear. And the best way, in my opinion, to move forward and to live your life is just be a better person every day. If you can. You know, if you can be a little better every day, make the world a little better place. If you can make the world a little better place, then that next person who deals with difficulty, maybe it's a little easier for them.
I mean, just like your son was getting into the Stoics, you know what I mean? It's just like control what you can.
Yeah, and find like in with Stoicism, you know, virtue and what is that, and I think the answer to purpose and meaning is accepting responsibility of some sort or some form, whatever that may be, as a parent, as a member of a charitable organization,
right?
Whatever it may be, but accepting that responsibility and moving forward and doing better for yourself, for others, and just making it count. You know, you can become bitter and angry and resentful.
What good does that do?
It will make nothing better, and everything will be worse. It will do no good. So, in the worst situation scenarios, everything we deal with, we have to find our time to deal with it and know how to grieve, but we also have to find a way to move forward. And you only move forward through good things and through positivity and through being a better person somehow. And that will translate somewhere. That will affect someone in a positive way.
And it already has. Your work with Granted has, I mean, you've been with them now for a year on the board, right?
But just a few months on the board.
Oh, just a few months on the board.
Yeah, it took me a while to get the strength to do it.
To be able to say that you're a part of something on that scale that is nationwide or...
No, it's just local.
It's just local?
But I
okay.
truly believe that we can be... the example for wish organizations across the country.
For other local organizations that are looking to uprise their city in hard times.
Yeah, and we service a 100-mile radius. There's some big news coming soon about some big things that are happening.
Well, you guys are raising money for a house.
Right now we're in the silent campaign. We're going to be making that public. We're talking to a lot of people, about what's going to be. You're going to find out about the House of Hope.
Can we talk about that at all or not?
I think we can. I mean, we're on the podcast here. It's going to come out in a few weeks.
Couple weeks.
And I think at that time we're going to be announcing this. But we have started the process where we've raised funds. We've got contributions from local companies, construction workers, the trades, individuals, that we've raised a great deal of money now for a major project. We have the land already. Nice. So this will be, I guess, a 3,000 to 4,000 square foot facility. This is going to be for Beyond the Wish programming, the education, for family support. There's going to be a memory garden. There's going to be, hopefully, accessible playground area. There's going to be a lot there for Wish families that helps them along, because one of the things I think that's so important is that these families, and keep in mind that we grant wishes to kids with life-threatening and terminal conditions. You don't have to be have a terminal condition. If you have a life-threatening condition, you can apply, within a 100-mile radius. But if you really think about it, once you get into that situation and you're dealing with these type of things and difficulties with your kids, or they themselves are dealing with, where do you go? Who do you connect with? Because as I talked about before, it's so difficult for everybody else to even understand it and to conceptualize and to be able to interact in a way that's comfortable. Because you find in most cases, discomfort among others is for the one thing that they want to avoid is discomfort. When you're talking about this subject. So typically, through avoidance or whatever they need to do for themselves to avoid that, and I get it because it's a hard thing to deal with. Typically, that's transferred to the person who's grieving, because now we carry that weight of, okay, now other people are having difficulty, or they don't know what to do, or they're being awkward, so they don't see it that way.
Right.
They see it as they are making themselves feel a little better, but in the end, maybe they're making us feel a little worse. But they don't get that. Now, that's a separate thing. But when you're dealing with those kind of things on a day-to-day basis, and you're dealing with the difficulty of a loss, or just a sick child, and other people not knowing how to deal with it or confront it, well, guess what? What if you had somewhere to go where people like you
dealt with it,
understand
it?
Yeah.
That they're a family. You're a family. These are the people that are there for you, that understand your situation. Hey, are you dealing with some stuff with regard to, finding health care for your kid? Do you qualify for disability or for Medicaid? Do you do those things? Hey, come talk to me. I've dealt with that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, sit down. Let's talk about it. Let's see what I can do. What about, coming in and having events, which we do, and have events for the families and the kids.
Oh, yeah.
So this is going to be a major thing.
Even at the Over the Edge event that we were a part of, you could tell that like anybody that was involved in Granted, like it is a family community, you know?
It's very tight knit. Everyone knows everybody, and we kind of got there, and they just kind of like looked around at us. And
Who are these dudes?
Who are these dirty hobos in the corner? And the one guy's got autism. It's like, what's going on here? Like,
The radar.
geez.
Somebody hear that radar? Yeah. I hear that radar.
Yeah, Paige told me to
where you at? Where's the radar?
Right.
Paige said, "Get this guy out of here."
Yeah, it's like
No, man. But it really is. When we got there, I was like almost intimidated by like how well everyone knew each other. And then you shake some hands, and you meet some people, and some really great people like yourself and Paige. And it was a really, really great
experience.
Experience, and something to be a part of. And I hope to be a part of further projects
And
with Granted.
you want to tell us about the next Granted event? There's two of them actually.
yeah. Over the Edge, of course, it was a great success this year. We had a lot of participants. I think 170 people rappelled off the Center Point building, which was awesome. By the way, I loved it, and it's just such a great
I
experience.
think it was. Did they say it was twice what it was the first year?
I wouldn't
and
doubt
numbers?
it. It was big, and it's going to be bigger next year, I believe.
I thought Jeff said that it was twice what it was the first year, as far as money raised and people going up to the top and rappelling down.
Yeah, we raised a lot of funds, and it was just a wonderful event, and to go up there, and the people that rappelled down. If you raise it, basically how it works is if you can join a team or you can do it by yourself, whatever. But if you raise $1,000, then you can rappel over the edge.
Mm-hmm.
And we've already started setting up new teams for next year. I just started Team Grant. We just had a few folks raising and raised a few thousand or a couple thousand. We had enough to send a couple people over the edge. But next year we're hoping to do a lot more. So hopefully, I'll give you all the link.
Yeah, we'll
to
put it in the description.
Team Grant. So join Team Grant. Raise some funds with us. Let's, have fun. We'll go up as a team. We'll go rappel down the Center Point building. It was a blast. And next time I'll go slower so I can enjoy it a little more. I was just whipping down there real quick, and I was like, man, I should have went down slower so I could really take this in.
Yeah,
But
are they doing it at Center Point again? Because the year before, was it at Center
always
Point?
at Center Point.
It was always at Center Point? Okay, so it'll be at Center Point again?
They'd done it 1 year before, and then last year was the second year, and next year's again at Center Point. And I think we may be contracted for a couple years. I'm not sure. But at least they were able to find that. Obviously, most people said, no, we don't want you rappelling off our building. I don't think insurance is going to care for that. But Center Point's been great, and they worked out with it.
Well, they
worked
got-
that
yeah,
out.
They're
and they
just
worked
like,
with us.
somebody falls, we'll raise the bill on everybody's electric.
I was literally
Yeah.
about to say, we
Yeah.
got the funds
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
it.
You see that? Would you like to donate extra this month? Yeah. Did you see that event? Yeah.
Your second event. You've got a second event coming up April 20.
No, August
25th.
Yeah, August
sorry.
25th, we have Swing Into
This
Wishes,
year.
which
This
is
year.
which was our golf event. I believe all of our foursomes are sold out. However, we are still looking for hole sponsors.
What course?
It's at Cambridge. Head over, but you won't see me. I'll be in the poor section.
I'll be over by the trailers.
Yeah,
How
there's
much
a lot,
is,
a lot of police patrol back there. A lot of bad things.
Do you know how much a hole is to sponsor?
It's $200 to sponsor a hole. So your business, your person, or you can sponsor a hole in the memory of. So hey, if somebody out there wants to donate $200 and do it in memory of Grant, hey, throw it out there.
Hell
we'll
yeah.
take it.
Hell yeah.
And anybody you want to you want to
And there's
commemorate at the memory of, or just put your name out there as your business.
And there's only 18 holes, right?
Yeah.
Or
but we
there
can
be
have multiple sponsors per hole.
Oh,
so yeah,
nice.
if y'all
I like that.
want to get multiple ones, go for it.
Can I? Okay, now off the wall question.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 8, I lost a goldfish. His
Mhm.
name was Hugh.
Yeah,
Can I sponsor a hole to Hugh?
Hugh can.
I like that. Nice. $200 to you.
So if you go in memory of
$200
you,
for 68 cents goldfish.
It was the most difficult flush of my life.
We got them at Walmart, so shout out. Also, I fucking hate Walmart. So, anyways, no, okay, and I do have one more very, very serious question. Now, this is going to be quite visceral, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to. We'll just shut the podcast down afterwards. But what I do want to ask you is that just you and you alone. Okay. No extremities, no extra items or anything versus 100 duck-sized horses or 1 horse-sized duck. Which one are you taking? And this is a battle to the death. This is a battle royale. Which way do you lean?
I think the horse-sized duck.
My man.
Because I mean,
So stupid.
I don't think I can. I don't think I can kick that many times or squeeze that many ducks in. But so I think if I got a shot to jump on one big one and get him down or her, whichever.
Yeah, equal opportunity.
Yeah, go for the leg first and go. Yeah, I think I'd go for the.
When they open their wings, they have these weird little like talons inside their wings, right? So
that's not good.
Yeah. So
I didn't even know about that.
You might just reconsider and go to the 100 size.
Do I get a helmet?
No, you don't get anything.
Nothing.
This is gonna suck. Yeah. You ever seen the movie Gladiator? It's like that. It's like that. You and a duck.
Are you not entertained? Is that what yeah. You see me yelling that on top of a giant duck? I don't know.
If you could corral 1,000-pound duck, I don't even know.
You just tame it. It's your ride now.
I've faced worse.
It's your ride.
Yeah.
Take it to work.
Yeah.
Tie it up, lasso it to the side of the bank.
That's nothing. Maybe we'll be eating for weeks.
Yeah. No, that checks out.
Because if
man.
you got, what is it, duck-sized horses?
Yeah,
you wouldn't
duck-sized
want
horses.
to eat those.
Yeah.
You just go with the
I think it's illegal to eat horse in America.
Yeah.
Well, unless you're that one restaurant in Evansville. What was it a while back?
Yeah. The Mexican restaurant.
Didn't they like
But
find
they
a
only
horse head?
No, the head was left. The rest of it, I think, had been used in the fajitas.
Yeah, it was cabeza. Is how you,
La cabeza.
That's what
Isn't
they
it
call it.
cabeza a head?
That's what they
La
call it.
cabeza.
Yeah, when they say cabeza, they're talking about a horse head.
Yeah.
They eat it in Mexico.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
I would eat horse.
Yeah. Actually, it wasn't a Mexican restaurant, was it?
It was a Mexican restaurant.
Yeah, it was. Okay, and they do. They eat cabeza. They eat.
I thought the restaurant was called La Cabeza.
No.
Oh.
That's the name of the food. Yeah.
Oh.
La cucaracha. No, man. I have to be honest with you. It's been nothing short of a pleasure to actually hear your whole story. I know we've talked a lot, at the event and then elsewhere. But it's really great to hear the story from kind of start, even just getting to know you better, where you came from.
Oh shit! As we close,
Oh shit! Getting
Thought he was
know me
about to
better.
drop.
Oh my god!
we forgot silver sneakers.
Oh, silver. Okay, so this goes back to my disability days.
Oh yeah.
So when you're on disability for so long, you get Medicare.
Yeah.
No matter what your age. So you roll into the Medicare, but when you're on Medicare, you're also enrolled. Or the opportunity to enroll in Silver Sneakers.
Now explain.
And Silver Sneakers is a is a workout program usually for the elderly among us, as the name implies.
Geriatric, if you will.
Yes, it could be.
If you will.
So the geriatric gym. So you have Silver Sneakers, and Silver Sneakers allows you to go to certain gyms that participate in this program.
Which is
free
most
of
of them.
charge.
Which is most of them.
Yeah, so you can go your monthly membership.
Yeah.
So Dan was a proud member of Silver Sneakers. Keep in mind, I had a card. I had a damn card that said Daniel Dennison Silver Sneakers.
I picture those bowling league jerseys.
Yeah, it was a white New Balance with a little blue N on them, and it was total dad swag. Silver Sneakers program.
Shout out.
And yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same as when, I had, my little heart issues, and they have you go through cardiac rehab, right? And you go into rehab, and you go up to the rehab room, and it's you and a bunch of 70-year-olds. They give you these little stretchy bands or something. They're doing this number.
Yeah.
And I'm standing there with these people.
It smells like denture creams and it depends.
And they walk a circle around this room inside the hospital. Okay, walk a full circle. It's like, I think I got it. I need to be here.
I think we're good here.
Yeah, I was like, look, I can do look, how fast I can do them. I'll make everybody look bad. I just lapping people. Take
Hold
that,
on.
Grandpa.
Look over at that 80-year-old dude Sissel. Hey, what's your bench press, bro?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Get your New Balance out of the way.
He's still rocking Skechers that you got a special order.
Yeah. Go ahead. Your striped tube socks.
Dude, I'm squatting 350. Why am I here? No,
Silver
dude,
sneakers, baby.
shout out to Silver Sneakers, man, because they're crushing it for the geriatric community and also folks that oddly fall into that category, like Dan.
Yeah. Thankfully, I've worked myself out of that, so now I got to pay my own membership, which I don't pay for anyway. You know, at Cambridge we have our own workout facility.
Okay.
They even let us folks.
Sounds like you're already a member of our cult. So.
Yeah. You know, I drive my golf cart over to it.
Yeah, they get on the bunny slopes for free. No, man, it's been honestly, it's been nothing short of a pleasure to like really hear the whole story from like really just to get to know more of you, because I've heard like the traumatic shit, which is good to talk about, and we talked about that a fair bit.
Yeah.
But like hearing about like who you are and like where you come from and then what you do, and that I think that's really, really intriguing, and honestly like gives the people that are listening a better idea of like, hey, this is just like a regular ass dude. Yeah. You know what I mean? It could literally be any of you sitting at home that could just be handed a plate of shit one day like you were, and you just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and you keep talking about it. You agreed to come onto you were excited to come onto the podcast and talk about it. And I mean, I think that in itself is like a testament of like, hey man, this guy's really, really fucking trying. And if you're going through something similar, you need to try just as hard as you are. So like, it takes effort.
Yeah,
so I applaud you and thank you.
I thank you. And it's forward. It's all you can do is try to go forward the best you can. It can be slow, but try forward. You know, and if you break up your time, whether it's an hour, a day, a week, whatever you need to do to deal with, the things you have to deal with, but to move forward.
Yeah.
And just hopefully those, folks out there, realize, don't take anything for granted.
Yeah.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Things that you get upset about or angry about, ask yourself, is it really worth it?
Yeah.
To get this worked up about? Is it that serious? And, and always look, like I said before, for the light in the things that are difficult. Just look harder. Look harder.
No matter how dim it is.
Find it somewhere.
Yeah.
Even through the darkest of times, just, don't sweat the small stuff. Be grateful and find gratitude. I think that's important. As, of course, I think Grant would appreciate the fact that, what was it? Cicero, I believe, who said that gratitude is the mother of all virtues. You have to have that before you have any others.
Very nice. I just wanted to say thank you though. So it's not easy to come out and put this out in front of hundreds of people or thousands, even however many
hundreds of thousands.
We're the number one podcast in Evansville, Indiana. So shout out to the Days Grimm podcast. No, but shout out to you, Dan. Seriously, you guys are crushing it. Shout out to Paige. We talked about her a bunch. She's crushing it. And then obviously your son. So just thank you for coming in and spending time with us. I really, really appreciate it. So,
hey, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
It was our pleasure, man. Thanks for sharing the story.
This has been another thrilling episode of the Days Grimm, everybody. Again, my name is Brian Michael Day.
My name is Thomas Grimm, and this has been Dan Dennison with Drew and the Stew.
Don't forget Drew. Thank you so much, Dan. I greatly appreciate you.
Thank you.